GOAT. Big as the what? Big as the Super Bowl.
Broadcasting from Radio Row inside the Mandalay Bay Convention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. You are tuned into Sideline Sports Talk Network's The W Show on 100.1 FM, Kansas City. Brought to you by Stockman Law Firm, The Soul of Santa, the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, Golden Gate Funeral and Cremation Services, Gates Barbecue, Positivity Water, Soiree Steak and Oyster House, The Right Tally Tax Preparation, Dillard's Zona Rosa, KC Wheat Spin 360, Derek Thomas Neil Smith III and Long Foundation, Phenomenal Kids Child Care Learning Center, XC Fright Studio Plush, Sierra Fonseca, hairstylist in New York Life.
Go ahead.
Inside of the Convention Center, Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, Nevada, ahead of Super Bowl 58. We have another great guest joining us. We have Adam, who is spokesperson for StubHub. Adam, what's happening?
How you guys doing? Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Back-to-back years. We'll see you in New Orleans next year.
Right.
Definitely.
Hopefully.
Well, with the way you guys are going,
Yeah.
4 out of 5. Why not make it 5 out of 6?
True.
So, Adam, what does StubHub have going on, for the Super Bowl?
I mean, a lot of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, as you can imagine, conversations around where the ticket prices are. A
Right.
little bit unprecedented at this point, especially for Chiefs fan, given that we're on par with where the LA Super Bowl was when it was Bengals and the Rams. But just kind of put where we are on Wednesday, we only have about 3,100 tickets still available,
Wow.
but they get in price starting at about $5,800 to $5,900.
Mm-hmm.
Sheesh.
So I see here that the nearly 20% of the tickets sold for the Super Bowl have occurred in the past 72 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the demand's starting to get there. Typically what we always say is, practice patience, especially after the first 24, 48 hours after the AFC NFC Championship game. That's when the prices tend to be the highest. And then again, kind of in the few days leading in. So right now is typically the best window to buy. Now, I know that's hard to say with a straight face when you're talking about $6,000 plus for a ticket to a game. But certainly that's kind of what we're seeing. Obviously, a lot of demand from these two fan bases. Vegas is super accessible, and the amount of people, because the infrastructure that are going to be within a 2-mile walk in a hotel, gambling and drinking,
of course.
It may drive the prices higher than we've ever seen on that last kind of day.
I know last year we were talking, and you I couldn't remember the number one state that were going to that Super Bowl in Arizona last year. Where are you seeing from this year? I know LA, San Francisco is really close compared to Kansas City, but where are you seeing the tickets coming from?
California certainly has led the way from right after the NFC Championship game. Right now, we're seeing about 38% of our sales coming from the state of California, compared to about 10% what we would deem, kind of Kansas and Missouri. So certainly, as expected, a little bit of a higher price. If you're a Chiefs fan, you've been to one or two of the last Super Bowls. You're like, yeah, I might sit this one out.
Yeah.
Where the 49er fans are, might be a little bit hungry to see that first one since 1995 that they've actually won.
Wow.
Yeah, and you talk about this one being the more expensive Super Bowl. We were talking about how it feels like Phoenix was kind of like that stop in between LA and Vegas. Is there a size difference in the stadiums as well? As far as really just ticket sales.
Yeah, Legion Stadium is certainly on the smaller side of any Super Bowl, about 65,000 compared to some of the larger ones. You're 72,000 and above.
How many is SoFi?
It's a great question. I don't know off the top of my head,
forget,
but I know that it's at least north of 70. Plus, some of those stadiums that are built a little bit the way SoFi is, or if it's an outdoor, they sometimes have the ability to bring in bleachers and
Extra
ways
bleachers,
to extend it. So certainly smaller. And again, I think just with the excitement around Vegas, there's a lot more interest from corporations and things like that, that not as many tickets may be falling into initially the hands originally.
And I feel like that's kind of what we have noticed, even with the events that have gone around, and we have seen even in Radio Row, we're seeing a couple of bounty and different things like that. Do you think New Orleans pushes past this as far as being more expensive?
Always hard to predict. It's Super Bowl. I mean, certainly the trends of every single year seem to be skirting the lines of a little bit higher price. Now, again, you called out last year being an anomaly. Granted, unique setup too with the game out in Glendale. So I think, when you have the stadium in and around where kind of all the activity is, it certainly helps. And New Orleans is they've had amazing events over the years. So certainly that tends to go that way. Now, always comes down to what two teams are playing, what their fan base is, how expensive it is to get there. I mean, I think the 49er fans also may have a benefit. They have so many flights into Vegas because the Raiders moved from Oakland that, that Sunday flight, there's 15 different flights you can choose from the morning of.
Yeah.
So talk about the Swift effect on the ticket sales.
Swift effect is certainly real. As hard as it is to say that out loud, but hard to predict really on the Super Bowl. I mean, the Super Bowl is an animal itself, but after her first appearance at Arrowhead Stadium, in the first 24 hours, we saw the most sales and visits on StubHub for a Chief game in the history of StubHub. So certainly it's going that way. The excitement there, I think, obviously, I don't think I need to tell the listeners. They've heard it on TV, and I'm sure it'll be a hot topic on Sunday, but Chiefs sales have certainly significantly increased since her appearances.
Do you guys track, like, I don't know, probably there's a way to do this, but do you track new visitors going to games or people that are repeat customers, especially like for Chiefs? You mentioned Taylor Swift, but could you tell, like, all right, this person would not normally go to a game?
Yeah, we typically do. We haven't gone and done a deep dive into that. Now, obviously, there's probably a lot of fans out there that are more Taylor Swift fans that all of a sudden are getting now resurfaced emails of like Chiefs and more sporting events. And like, why am I getting that? It's like, well, now you're searching for football games that you never have before. But look, it's anecdotal. They're talking on TV, and then I'm hearing it too. I've got my niece being like, "Well, who do I root for?" It's Taylor's boyfriend's on the team.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, if someone wants to look up tickets right now, what would the going rate be for two?
Yeah, for two, you're probably looking a little bit north of 6,000.
Okay.
Right around that, which hopefully that comes down. Always hard to predict, as I mentioned. So very well could be the lowest it gets based on kind of what we've seen. But the price has come down and softened a little bit over the past 24, 48 hours. So that's something we'll be monitoring. But I think this is definitely going to be that window if you are interested in buying.
Yeah.
Maybe consider buying a single ticket. I know that doesn't sound as fun, but
No.
anyone that's wanting to go with 6 people, I can assure you there's going to be a massive premium to try to get that larger block of tickets.
And that's wild, too, because people really wait until the last minute. It's like, all right, let me get on StubHub and check out prices.
And for the regular season, I would certainly recommend, that's the trend that you see across, especially if you're talking about Royals games or things like that. However, when it's the Super Bowl and the amount of people, this year might be a little bit riskier than last year or even maybe the previous couple of Super Bowls you guys have been to.
And we asked you this last year. What you got on Sunday?
Going Niners 31, Chiefs 24.
I think you picked against the Chiefs last year. So
No. I definitely took
you picked the Chiefs. Okay.
Okay. As you can tell who I picked this year, you know why I probably picked you. I know for a fact I was rooting to pick you guys last year.
Heck yeah.
We appreciate you again, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir. That was
Thank
Adam.
you.
He's representing StubHub. We'll be back live with more guests following Adam.
Go ahead, say it then. Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Big as the what? Big as the Super Bowl.
Broadcasting from Radio Row inside the Mandalay Bay Convention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. You are tuned into Sideline Sports Talk Networks, the W Show on 100.1 FM, Kansas City. Brought to you by Stockman Law Firm, the Soul of Santa, the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, Golden Gate Funeral and Cremation Services, Gates Barbecue, Positivity Water, Soiree Steak and Oyster House, the Wright County Tax Preparation, Dillard's Zona Rosa, KC Wheat Spin 360, Derek Thomas Neil Smith III and Long Foundation, Phenomenal Kids Child Care Learning Center, XC Fright Studio Plush, Sierra Fonseca, Hairstylist in New York Life,